Good morning, I'm Ed Lingal. It is Monday, the 5th of May, bringing Morning Matters because your mornings matter. A 5-year-old girl was among the 2 killed after an SUV rammed into the passenger entrance of NAIA Terminal 1's departure area on Sunday. The SUV driver is now in police custody and will face multiple charges. Just 1 week left before the Bilang Pilipino 2025, but what can we expect from the candidates as the campaign nears its end? We will talk about that later. And Vice President Duterte alleges that the Marcos administration is responsible for the assault complaint filed against Representative Pulong Duterte. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, 2 people have been confirmed dead, while 4 others were injured after an SUV rammed into the passenger entrance of NAIA Terminal 1's departure area on Sunday, May 4. Here's the story.
A 5-year-old girl was among the 2 fatalities after a sports utility vehicle or SUV rammed into the passenger entrance of NAIA Terminal 1's departure area on Sunday morning. The child was with her mother and grandfather, sending off her father, an overseas Filipino worker. The other fatality was a 28-year-old man who was scheduled to fly to Dubai for a business meeting. The remains of the 2 victims were brought to a funeral home in Pasay. Meanwhile, 4 others who sustained injuries were taken to San Juan de Dios Hospital. New NAIA Infracorp President Ramon Ang personally visited the terminal and promised to shoulder all expenses for the victims. Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon also conducted an inspection.
Review din namin ang CCTV. Nakita namin yung sasakyan na rumagasa. So right now, initially, mukha namang hindi pumunta dito yung driver para managasa. No, hindi intentional dahil nga nakita natin na meron talaga siyang hinatid na pasahero dito.
According to Dizon, the SUV driver is now in police custody and will undergo drug and sobriety testing. The Land Transportation Office has already suspended the driver's license. The driver claimed he panicked when a sedan suddenly passed in front of him, mistakenly stepping on the accelerator instead of the brakes. He will face charges of reckless imprudence, resulting in homicide, multiple physical injuries, and damage to property.
The bus driver in the fatal SE Tex accident has tested negative for illegal drugs. That's according to the Tarlac Provincial Forensic Unit of the PNP. But Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon says the driver must be held accountable. Recall that the driver earlier refused to take the drug test.
Hindi pa pwede yung aayaw. Hindi pa pwede. Hindi ka pwedeng umayaw kasi nagdadala ka ng pasahero eh.
Dizon adds that they will also look into the roadworthiness of drivers. He said that according to a memo released by the DOTR, bus drivers should have alternates.
Para tayong naglolokohan eh. Hindi naman talaga tinetest ang roadworthiness eh. Ang problema sa Pilipinas, hindi naman yung batas at regulasyon madalas eh, yung enforcement eh. Kahit na may batas, kahit na may regulasyon, kung hindi naman yan ini-enforce, baliwala lahat yan.
Cardinals gathered on Saturday for the 9th General Congregation in preparation for the upcoming conclave. Key topics included gratitude for Pope Francis, the continuation of his work, and the Church's role in promoting peace. The Cardinals expressed hope that the next Pope would lead the Church out of isolation and bring hope to a world in need. Synodality, ecumenical dialogue, and the ongoing Jubilee were also highlighted, emphasizing the Church's commitment to serving both its members and the wider world. The conclave is set to begin on May 7. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, or the CBCP, has defended Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle following criticisms over alleged clerical sexual abuse. In a statement, the CBCP clarified that Cardinal Tagle no longer has direct authority over any Philippine diocese since joining the Roman Curia. It adds that the misconduct cases are handled by local bishops or religious superiors. This defense follows a warning from a watchdog group, bishopaccountability.org, which claims that Tagle cannot be trusted to protect children and accused the Philippine Church of remaining in the dark ages on abuse transparency. Meanwhile, at Imus Cathedral, where Tagle once served as parish priest and was later appointed bishop, several priests looked back on their personal experiences with the cardinal.
Nung last year ko sa seminary, siya yung naging Archbishop of Manila pa noon, hindi pa siya cardinal. At kami yung kanyang unang batch na na-ordain bilang deacon sa San Carlos Seminary. So, isa yon sa siguro milestone ng kanyang ng pagiging Archbishop of Manila. Very practical, very grounded no sa realities ng buhay natin.
Mabuting pastol, kaamuy niya yung tupa. So napakasimple ni Cardinal.
And just to clarify, those were criticisms over the handling of alleged clerical sexual abuse, the handling. Pablo Virgilio Cardinal David asked his followers on Facebook about their expectations for the next pope. Cardinal David told netizens to complete the sentence, "I pray for the election of a new pope who," end of quote. He called on people online to center their thoughts on the virtues and leadership qualities that are the most needed at this time. Some commented that the next pope should be pastoral, diplomatic, and have a heart for the poor and the marginalized. 3 Filipino cardinals are set to participate in the conclave following the passing of Pope Francis. Let's get the latest from Rome. News 5 correspondent Mon Gualvez will give us updates on the ground. Mon, kamusta dyan?
Ed, naghahanda na talaga ang halos lahat ng mga Pilipino dito at syempre ang simbahang Katolika para sa mangyayaring conclave in the coming days. Yesterday was a great opportunity to see itong 3 Pilipinong kardinal na magkakasama na umattend ng mass together dahil sakto naman na Collegio Day. This is the 64th founding anniversary of Pontificio Collegio Filipino, in which dito nag-stay yung mga Filipino cardinals before na mag-start yung conclave at papasok na sila sa Sistine Chapel. Medyo talagang mailap sila sa publiko, especially sa media, nung moment na ito dahil first, nag-oath na rin sila as form of secrecy para hindi na nga magbigay ng anumang mga detalye, lalo't nagsisimula na rin yung kaliwat ka ng mga gatherings ng mga cardinals. And of course, secondly, is because this is the perfect time for them to pray and at least mas magkaroon ng oras sa kanilang sarili para maghanda sa darating na conclave. So there was a moment na talaga na after the mass, in-exit sila behind the chapel para hindi na talaga makipag-socialize with the people, especially napakarami ding media na nag-aabang sa 3 Filipino cardinals. So they are still staying in the Collegio before they enter the Sistine Chapel on May 7 or the day before May 7. And right now, Ed, talagang medyo lang dito, bukod sa lamig, umuulan-ulan na rin dito sa area in which ito yung in-expect in the coming days na medyo magiging maulan yung weather here in the Vatican.
Okay, Mon, we have, I think, 2 days left before the start of the conclave, and there's been a lot of talk on how long it could possibly go. Now, I know, of course, we cannot ask you how long that will be because you're not the one voting. But can you give us an idea? What's the mood there? I suppose kasi you've been able to talk to, I mean, I saw some of your photos. You've been able to talk to some of the Filipino cardinals themselves. What's the mood? I don't want to presume to ask you how they're voting, of course. It's more like, it's parang, in a way, it's like election day, like what we have here. Yeah, at least in a way.
Yes, it's an election day na walang kandidato at walang balota, na mangyayari dito na pagpipili-pilian ng mga cardinals. Pero the mood is actually the people here are excited in a way dahil nga sa pag-abang sa darating na or pagboto ng susunod na Santo Papa. So the Filipino community are really anticipating. They are all here. Maraming mga Pilipino, not because na dahil nga sa conclave lamang, kundi dahil din it's a jubilee year. That's another factor. At the same time, talagang Sunday din kahapon, kaya marami nagpunta dito sa may labas ng St. Peter's Basilica. So the mood is something na very anticipating ang lahat dito sa mangyayari. At saka some are excited, especially the 3 Filipino cardinals are joining the conclave this time, Ed.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, in the earlier report we had, there was talk dun sa General Congregation of the concepts of synodality, which basically means consultations with not just among the bishops and cardinals, but also with the faithful. So in a way, parang it's a continuation of yung sinimulan ni Pope Francis, yung working together with the faithful. And as well, there was also some talk dun sa General Congregation, I understand, of bringing the church out of the past and more into the present and the future. So mukhang malaki pa rin impluwensya ni Pope Francis dito sa usapin, at least dun sa General Congregation. Parang laki pa rin impluwensya ni Pope Francis.
Yes, malaki pa rin yung impluwensya. The fact that most of the cardinals, elector cardinals here are somehow appointed by Pope Francis himself. Kaya talagang yung practice niya are being, kumbaga, na exemplified with these cardinals na in-appoint ni Pope Francis, who will be joining the conclave at the same time. So, yes, tama yung binabanggit mo, Ed.
Okay, last question, Bok. The conclave, excuse me, the conclave begins on May 7. That's Wednesday here, and can you give us an idea how it will go, at least in terms of what time it starts? I suppose it starts in the morning, and what time they start to vote. Will they also be voting on the same day na May 7, or will it be the day after? Kasi baka meron pa yung, I'm sure there will be a lot of prayers, maybe some talk and some reflection among the cardinals, or will they be voting immediately once the conclave starts?
Yes, Ed, actually we got an information from the Vatican saying that in the morning there will be a solemn mass attended by the cardinal electors. These are the Pro Eligendo Romano Pontifice. And pagpasok sa Sistine Chapel, mag-oath sila as prescribed din sa paragraph 53 or Universi Dominico Gregis. Kasama sa laman nito yung absolute secrecy, that no external interference. Pagkatapos niyan, iuutos na yung extra omnes, meaning lahat ng mga hindi kasali sa conclave ay palalabasin na, except yung mangunguna sa second meditation, the Master of Pontifical Celebrations Ecclesiastic. And then the second meditation will start that will focus on the grave responsibility ng electors. Pagkatapos ito, aalis na yung Master of Pontifical Liturgical Celebrations Ecclesiastic, and then election na. So there will be one voting on the first day of the conclave in which electors will recite yung prayers, tapos kung ready na silang mag-vote, mag-vote na sila. The Cardinal Dean will answer all the questions that will be will be raised on that day, at bawal sa lahat ng cardinal again na makipag-usap sa kahit anong paraan. Pwera na lang kapag emergency. Bawal din ng kahit na anong media consumption inside the Sistine Chapel. And on the second day, ganito pa rin, no? Pero mas meron ng 2 beses na boboto itong mga cardinal electors natin.
You mentioned they will be in complete isolation in the Sistine Chapel. I suppose by that you mean no devices, no gadgets, no phones, no laptops, no tablets, nothing at all. No consumption of media in the Sistine Chapel where they will be conducting the voting. But I'm also wondering,
Yes.
But I think you'll have several voting cycles per day, except for day 1. When they retire at night, are they allowed to, if you would know, only if you would know, are they allowed to go online and be in touch with the outside world, or are they still in complete seclusion and isolation? I asked that kasi, iba yung wala kang contact with the outside world during the voting. That's understandable. Pero paglabas mo siyempre, pwede ka pa mag-email. Pwede ba kayo mag-chat?
According to the Vatican, that is not allowed even after the election day or even after the days of the conclave na nag-held nga ng election. So talagang mahigpit na bawal ang exposure nila sa anumang media platform or any gadget that they will have, and even makipag-usap sa mga kapwa nila, mga cardinal electors. Bawal ang lahat ng ito dahil oras na may malaman na gumagawa nito at talagang na lumubag sa ganyang klaseng rule, they will face the possible excommunication dito sa pangyayaring ito. So talagang this will be a very, very strict implementation of that secrecy that they need to follow, Ed.
Okay, just as a wrap-up, so we will have one voting cycle on day 1, May 7. I suppose that will be in the afternoon of May 7. And here in the Philippines, we are 6 hours ahead.
Yes.
So malamang kung sakali man, the first voting cycle will be gabi na rito sa Pilipinas.
That's correct, Ed.
Okay. Mon, keep us updated, so we know what's happening there. No, sorry, my last question too. So what do we expect from you guys on May 7? Will you be reporting there early or paano kalakaran natin yan?
Oh yeah, talagang on May 7, talagang nakaabang na halos lahat dito. On that day, talagang madaling araw pa lang, naka-ready na ang halos lahat ng media at mga tao din dito sa area. Kaya you'll be expecting from me updates on that day kahit madaling araw. At syempre talagang tuloy-tuloy na siya, no? To give you at least an idea, though 6 hours in advance ang Philippines from the Vatican, talagang at least an advancer on what will happen on the day of the conclave, Ed.
Okay, maraming salamat. Reporting live from the Vatican at mukhang nilalamig si Mr. Mon Gualvez. Mon, thank you. Do not go away. We'll be right back with more stories after this break. Good morning, I'm Ed Lingao. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. The Commission on Elections refutes a claim that voters without national ID cannot vote in the upcoming midterm elections. The COMELEC says that the no national ID, no vote advisory circulating online is fake and was never posted on any official platform. It clarifies that a valid ID is only required, a valid ID is required if a voter's identity cannot be verified on the official list. The agency also warned against disinformation efforts aimed at undermining the electoral process. Candidates for Bilang Pilipino 2025 are ramping up campaign efforts ahead of the midterm elections. Here's the story.
Tribal leaders welcomed senatorial candidate Kiko Pangilinan in General Santos City. He vowed to include them in the solution to resolve food crisis. His party mate, another senatoriable Bam Aquino, campaigned around Metro Manila. He said he will continue to advocate for free education. Meanwhile, candidates from Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas went to Batangas. The sortie was led by President Bongbong Marcos. His bets were endorsed by former Batangas Governor Vilma Santos Recto.
Salamat kayo.
While PDP of the Duterte's camp held a campaign rally in Butuan City. TV host Willie Revillame visited San Pablo City, Laguna. Revillame promised elderly residents there of free medicine should he win as senator. Senatoriables Vic Rodriguez and Rodante Marcoleta also wooed voters in the area. Meanwhile, independent bet Ariel Curabin held a motorcade in Cebu.
And to talk more about that, we have UE Political Science Professor Eric De Torres now joining us via Zoom. Sir, magandang umaga and thank you for joining us this morning.
Magandang umaga po, Sir Ed.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for
Sir, before I go into the surveys, let me ask you something that's kind of sticking out. I know we have one week left before Election Day. It's exactly a week from now. So, eto na naman tayo. But anyway, we've had this we've had this unusual case where you have two people who were originally with the administration, ngayon parang tila namamangka sa dalawang ilog. At least si Amy hindi na kasi mukhang si Amy talaga bumukod na eh. But at least at the outset or at the onset, these were identified with the administration. I'm wondering anong tingin niyo doon sa naging epekto ng kanilang pagtawid ng ilog, kumbaga. Mula sa admin, ngayon kung hindi tuluyang sumampa doon sa kabilang ilog, nandun pa rin sa pagitan. How is that working for them from what you can see?
Well, ito yung talagang testimony talaga kung saan, number one, makikita natin kung magkakaroon ba talaga ng weight yung political capital ni VP Sara. Kasi kung matatandaan natin, talagang may ad na lumabas for Senator Amy at saka of course kay Assistant Majority Floor Leader Camille Villar. So, ito yung test case at makikita natin kung magkakaroon ba talaga ng weight yung endorsement at saka gaano kataas yung endorsement capacity ni VP Sara. Of course, nakita natin yung ginawa ni Senator Amy at saka ni Congressman Villar is, of course, nakikita natin medyo masikip kung titignan natin yung pinaka latest survey ng Okta Research na medyo dikit yung nandoon sa 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So ito ay itong last week na to is going to be very crucial for all the candidates. Secondly, nag-aabang or nag-aantay na rin din yung mga kandidato. Yung ibang mga local ay naipatawag na. So nag-aabang na lalo na from the national candidates yung endorsement ng malaking, of course, religious organization for that matter.
Sir, when you say endorsement ng isang religious organization, what are you referring to? Or should I venture a guess?
Well, of course, your guess is as good as mine. So, inaantay na rin din kung sino yung i-endorse ng iglesia. So, that has also an impact in terms of looking at the manner by which this organization, a religious organization, basically vote. So it would be very helpful because ito yung inaasahang base votes ng mga kandidato, so to speak.
So what you're saying is that that could be a swing vote in a very, very tight race, especially dun sa bottom four, that might make a difference.
Yes, definitely it will make a difference But of course, you have to also be ready kung sakali mang hindi madala or hindi maisama dun sa listahan nila. Ang pinakamalaking tanong bilang kandidato saan ka kukuha ng boto, lalo na kung ilang libo na meron silang membro, saan ka kukuha ng pang-augment or pang-tapal doon sa mawawalang base vote sa iyo.
Sir, kung ilabas po natin yung elementong yan, because anyway, that is going to be, if at all, a command vote. Yung sabihin, wala ka na magagawa kung kung inutos, wala ka na magagawa iba. Pero yung, kumbaga, kung naghahabol ka doon sa bottom 4, or sabihin nga, bottom 5, and you have 1 week to go, what else can you do to swing votes or convince voters to... May magagawa ka pa ba? Or is it ground war na lang talaga? When I say ground war, ito yung makinarya may magagawa ka pa ba to change minds maliban dun sa operations dun sa baba kung saan may ground war na?
Well, kung mapapansin natin, yung ibang mga kandidato in terms of their ad, medyo nag-adjust na sila. Mas specific kasi mas pinapakita na nila yung kanilang programa. Kung mapapansin natin, nagbago yung ad ni Senator Bong. Mas pinapakita niya na yung mga legislative agenda at saka yung accomplishments niya. Pero of course, pasok na siya doon sa Magic 12. Doon sa iba, makikita natin si senatorial aspirant Benhar Abalos, nag-adjust din siya at pinapakita niya yung accomplishments niya sa Mandaluyong. Meron pa in terms of aerial or yung media approach in terms of calibration, but at the end of the day, I would agree with you, sir, na talagang ground war na or yung operations na sa baba ang mahalaga dito.
Well, yun nga lang, operations parang doesn't sound very good.
Sabihin natin na yung makinarya na kung paano sila kikilos. Yun, opo. Mas politically correct term kung paano po sila kikilos. And makikita natin, mahalaga, Ed, na makita natin yung voting block and strategically pinpointing yung mga malalaking voting block na nagbibigay ng pwedeng malaking boto. At ito yung manggagaling primarily sa Visayas at saka sa Mindanao. Lagi kong binibigyan ng emphasis na malaki ang naging epekto nung pagkakaaresto ni former President Rodrigo Duterte, since alam natin na baluarte ang mga mabibigat na lugar na nagbibigay ng voting block, especially sa Visayas at saka sa Mindanao. So ang pinakamalaking tanong is paano yung makinarya ng mga nasa 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 na masusuyo ang mga lugar na ito, lalo na sa Visayas at saka sa Mindanao.
Yun nga, sir, we have seen that spike since yung arrest a month or two ago. We have seen that spike and we have seen the numbers go up dun sa Duterte block. On the other hand ba, do you think that the spike has been sufficient to bring pro-Duterte candidates into the Magic 12? Kasi although tumaas sila, parang wala masyadong bagong pumasok. If at all, I mean, I'm looking at the Octa survey, if at all, baka si Camille, and even then, hindi naman siya ganun kaingay at least for now, as far as the Duterte issue is concerned. The rest, yung sa iba sa kanila, dati nang nandun well, except for Bato, who used to play dun sa bandang baba, pero ngayon nasa taas dun sa Octa survey. Pero the others, mga pro-Duterte candidates, are not in the top 12.
Yeah. Looking at it as such, medyo nakikita natin medyo hindi ganun kalaking improvement, Ed, yung pagdating doon sa ibang mga kandidato ng Duterte. Primarily, makikita natin na ang posible na maaaring makalusot o kung magpapatotoo at mabubuhat ng Visayas at saka ng Mindanao Block ay mga 2 o 3 kandidato na posible, na original na galing ng Duterte. Pero of course, let's wait and see kasi medyo latter part nung medyo very vocal at talagang yung endorsement ni VP Sara kay Senator Amy at saka kay Camille Villar. So
Yeah.
medyo makikita natin ito come next week kung talagang may weight yung manner ng pag-endorso sa kanila ng ating Vice President.
And those are, of course, going to be, if at all, 2 votes in favor of the Dutertes, if and when, actually when the impeachment court comes around.
Definitely, Ed.
Sir, last question, sir. Ingay, we were talking about the effect of the Duterte arrest on the numbers dun sa Senate race and potentially on the impeachment. But let me ask you, again, with your political hat on, how could the government have handled this better in terms of not letting the Duterte arrest have any effect on the numbers in the elections? I mean, was it an unavoidable? Was it an unavoidable controversy to begin with, or could they have handled it better?
Well, I think they could have handled it better. It's also unavoidable, but primarily, Ed, it's really the timing. The timing is really not in accordance to the tide basically of their candidates, because after the arrest, kitang-kita mo yung spike ng numbers. Yun nga, yung nakakalungkot is hindi naging issue o usapin ng programa o plataforma ng mga kandidato, pero naging issue ng dalawang pamilya at yung paano legalidad ng pagka-aresto ni former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte and so on and so forth. Yung eleksyon ito hindi naging usapin ng plataforma, programa ng mga tumatakbong kandidato. Nagkaroon din ng shift in terms of nasa interest, kasi ang naratibo between dun sa nagbabangga ang dalawang pamilya at yung manner or yung paraan ng kung paano pagkaka-aresto kay former President Rodrigo Duterte. So, doon makikita natin na talagang nagbago at nag-shift yung diskurso at naratibo nitong eleksyon na ito. So, I hope na sana 1 week to go, mas maging mapanuri at maging mas mapag-obserba ang ating mga kababayan na kung sino yung karapat-dapat nilang iboboto, dahil yung kanilang iboboto ay magkakaroon din ng weight at mahalaga ang kanilang partisipasyon sa kung paano magiging gampanin ng mga mahahalal na senador sa impeachment proceeding ni VP Sara, at of course yung mga susunod na panahon na malaking hamon sa ating bansa.
Sorry, sir. Ipahabol ako. Alam ko, sinesenyas na ako rito. Pero last question talaga to. Of course, we do remember na impeach yung Vice Presidente noong Pebrero pa. And the decision was made by the Senate leadership to defer the impeachment trial until mag-resume ang session, ang regular session in June, at least as far as yung drafting of the rules are concerned. But the actual trial might take place, for all you know, baka after pa ng SONA. So in other words, na-defer siya ng 4+ months. Would it have mattered, would it have made a difference if the trial was conducted immediately? For example, March or April, sinimula na yung trial ng impeachment ni VP Sara. Do you think the numbers would have looked different? Do you think the outcome could possibly have been different?
Well, of course, we can only second guess what might happen. But for me personally, it's a double whammy on the part of the administration should they pursue. Mapapansin at maobserbahan na kung saan talagang politika at the sympathy could be a factor by which magkaroon or mas dumami pa yung mga galing sa Duterte slate na mga kandidato. So ako tingin ko maganda yung pagpapaliban in a way, because it neutralizes or it somehow diffuse the tension within the politics of the country, and more importantly, at least take time to breathe and to make people be more rational. Kasi nakita natin at napansin natin sa loob ng 2-3 linggo, medyo grabe yung emosyon ng taong bayan dun sa nangyari. So ang pagpapaliban ay tingin ko malaking tulong na kung saan mas nag-step back tayo, palamigin ang sitwasyon at mas makapag-isip ng mabuti.
Okay, maraming salamat, UE Political Science Professor Eric De Torres. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Please stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back after a short break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters. Former President Rodrigo Duterte's lawyers have challenged the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court over his case. According to Duterte's lawyers, the preconditions for the exercise of jurisdiction in the situation of the Philippines were not met. His camp notes that the Philippines' withdrawal from the Rome Statute became effective on 17 March 2019 and that the former prosecutor filed her request and the pretrial chamber issued its decision more than 2 years later. With this, Duterte's lawyers say the case lacks legal foundation and should be nullified forthwith. And let's discuss that further with Gilbert Andres, the Deputy Executive Director of the Center for International Law Philippines. Sir, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Morning, Ed. Morning to all our viewers.
Yes, sir. Sir, are you still in Europe?
Yes, still in Europe. Tapos, Ed, ano na ako? Executive Director.
I'm sorry.
Center.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for demoting you again.
Walang problema.
But thank you for joining us. So you're still in Europe, ha? Kaya, kasi you're giving off this Europe vibe, eh.
Still in the Netherlands, to be very clear about it.
Okay. Sir, of course, this has been in the news for the past 4 days. Itong final ni Kaufman, Attorney Nicholas Kaufman, defense lawyer ni Duterte. And I suppose this goes back to a very, very basic or base issue of jurisdiction. Again, the jurisdiction is being challenged. But I suppose you also expected that, that any lawyer would, from the very start, challenge the jurisdiction to lay the base claim. First of all, let me ask you your opinion of his claim, his assertion actually, the court actually took cognizance of the case only 2 years after the Philippines withdrawal took effect.
Well, the answer there is the Burundi Pretrial Chamber 3 decision, that was in 2017. And it states there that the withdrawal of a state party does not affect the jurisdiction of the ICC. So, and in fact, this was also invoked by the pretrial chamber 1 when it actually ordered the reopening of the investigation. I think that was sometime in January of 2020. And i-relate din natin to sa Article 29 of the Rome Statute, which provides that international crimes under the jurisdiction of the ICC are not subject to statute of limitations. In simplest terms, international crimes under the ICC are not subject to prescription. Prescriptable po sila. Kaya this will only be true if besides the withdrawal, yung walang effect itong withdrawal na to sa pag-exercise ng jurisdiction ng ICC.
Pero sir, if I remember right, itong decision ng pretrial chamber 1, medyo close yung vote. Ito ba yung vote na 2 versus 3 where nanalo lamang by 1 vote the decision to pursue the case?
Oh, actually you're referring, Ed, to the appeals chamber decision on July 2022. Oh, I'm referring to the pretrial chamber 1 decision to authorize reopening noong January 2023. But in any case, actually what the defense has been citing are the minority opinions nung dalawang justices ng appeals chamber. But we know na what's effective is actually the majority opinion, yung 3 against 2. Yun lang pong panghahawakan namin. At also, Ed, I want to add that from a very historical context, international criminal tribunals are actually hesitant to divest themselves of jurisdiction. That has been the historical record from Eichmann in the 1960s until the ICTY in Prosecutor versus Tadic, and even in the Special Tribunal for Lebanon. If there is a jurisdictional challenge, malamang po that will actually be denied by the International Tribunal. And we think that this will still hold on yung historical record na to.
Actually, I've heard that phrase floated around, yung malcaptus bene detentus, if I think...
Malcaptus bene detentus. So, that pertains to, yung challenge to the jurisdiction based on the alleged questions on the arrest. Pero hindi naman siya in-invoke dun sa jurisdictional challenge ng defense.
Pero I can imagine that that's going to be the next challenge if it does cross over to that portion. I also remember kasi for example, in one Senate hearing, former former Associate Justice Adolf Hascuna was saying na at least as far as his opinion was concerned, walang problema yung arrest warrant ng ICC, that is all regular. The problematic area could possibly be dun sa the act of surrender or the way that the former president was surrendered to the Interpol. I'm wondering lang what kind of weight that opinion issued by Justice Escuna could have on the ICC, if at all.
Actually, Ed, because the ICC is an international tribunal, it's actually, ang kanyang basehan lang nito ay international law, specifically the Rome Statute. So, and in fact, it has been the doctrine under international criminal law na any questions on the arrest should not affect the exercise of jurisdiction. Yun nga ang very heart ng malacaptus bene detentus. Kaya hindi po makaka-apekto. Kung ano man po naging opinion po, ano man po naging kukuko ng kung sino man po na nasa Pilipinas tungkol po sa naging arrest kay Mr. Duterte. So hindi po ito makaka-apekto sa jurisdiction ng ICC.
So, sir, moving forward, the defense has issued, or the defense has already made its filings. What's the next step here? Does the prosecution have to respond in kind, or is it left to the ICC pretrial chamber?
Oo, bibigyan ng syempre no ng period yung prosecutor to respond. And I even want to add, even the victims should be given time to respond
Okay.
because this actually affects the interest of the victims, and all of the victims should be given the opportunity to file their observation, their views and comments on this jurisdictional challenge.
Pero sir, timetables. Do we have any of the timetables?
As of now, wala pang timetable, Ed, ano? But let's see, kasi it should be done before the confirmation of charges on September
Which is
23.
September.
It will be, all parties should be given a reasonable time to give their views and comments.
So sir, kailangan matapos to before September, this particular issue.
Kailangan po siyang matapos September 23, and in fact, under the rules of procedure and evidence, pwede rin siyang isama dun sa confirmation of charges, yung issue ng jurisdictional challenge.
Okay. Maraming salamat for joining us this morning, Gilbert Andres, Attorney Gilbert Andres, the Director of the Center for International Law Philippines. Sir, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat, Ted. Mabuhay po tayong lahat.
And let's also get some insights from human rights lawyer Nery Colmenares. Sir, good morning and thank you for joining us this morning.
Hi, good morning, Ed. Good morning po sa viewers ninyo.
Sir, I was talking earlier to Attorney Gilbert Andres, and he was also saying na, I was asking kasi about yung filings ni Attorney Kaufman and Attorney Andres made note of the fact na
Yes.
even of course the victim should be allowed to make their own manifestation to Kaufman's assertions. Of course, you're also a colleague of Attorney Conti. Do we know exactly what the manifestation of the victims is going to be about?
Yes, we're going to challenge of course, the issue of jurisdiction. Alam niyo, expected na namin yan sa sa defense na they will challenge the jurisdiction. Bakit? Kasi that's their only hope. The moment the charges are confirmed at magkaroon ng trial, tapos na yung boxing, kumbaga. Kasi walang
Yes, sir.
ebidensyang masasubmit si President Duterte to show na wala siyang kinalaman sa killings ng drug war. So, kailangan talaga nila ihinto. So, it affects our interest. Ngayon, doon sa issue ni President Duterte sa defense, wala nga bang jurisdiction? Klaro doon sa Article 127 ng Rome Statute, nakalagay doon, any country or state party may withdraw from the ICC. Basta ang anumang proceedings na nasimulan na bago kayo nag-withdraw ay itutuloy yun. Final ni Attorney Jude Sabio ang complaint niya, kumbaga, noong 2017. Kami, bilang counsel ng EJK victims sa Rise Up, final namin noong 2018 naging
Yes, sir.
effective ang withdrawal 2019. So sabi namin, klarong-klaro, kaya nga nilagay yung 127 na yan ng Rome Statute ng mundo kasi tingin nila walang ngipin ng ICC pag wala yan. Kasi ang gagawin lang pala ng Prime Minister o Presidente
Withdraw
kung
lang.
may kaso na siya sa ICC, mag-withdraw So para ma-avoid yan, nilagay yan na at na hindi ka, pwede ka mag-withdraw, pero kung nasimulan na yung kaso for vested interest, withdraw mo, tuloy ang kaso. So, sa amin, matatalo sila dun sa issue of jurisdiction at sana naman bigyan na ng pagkakataon na makapagkomentaryo kami dyan dahil napaka-importante sa amin na matuloy ang trial dito so that President Duterte can answer for the crimes he was charged of.
Yes, sir. Inga, sir. So ano po? Are you in touch already with the victims and what do you plan to manifest there?
Yes, we're
how do you plan
setting
to respond?
up meetings ngayon. Attorney Chrissy Conti is setting it up. Constant naman ang communication naman namin since then. At nag-briefing nga yan a few weeks ago. And we will brief them again about the new developments, itong issue ng jurisdiction. So basically, I guess kasi they will challenge jurisdiction even now until the confirmation of hearing. They will challenge it. Sa tingin ko, there's no other way. Kasi pag natuloy yung trial, dalawa lang naman ang elemento ng crime against humanity. Kung i-summarize natin, widespread or systematic attacks against civilians. Anong evidence siyang ipipresent ni President Duterte to prove na hindi widespread or systematic yung attacks? O di, 6 years yun, pari hanggang hulo yung bata yan. So wala siyang present na ebidensya doon. Yung second major element ng crime against humanity, if you summarize it, is yung knowledge of the attack. How can what evidence will he present to show na wala siyang knowledge? He ordered the attack publicly. He encouraged the attack publicly by saying sa mga pulis, i-amnesty ko kayo, i-pardon ko kayo. And then the testimonies of people like, say, Roy Nagarma, na nagsabi, not only did he order the attack, he funded the attack. So ang lakas talaga ng ebidensya. And I see no evidence on the part of President Duterte to show na wala siyang kinalaman sa patayan. So pag matuloy ang trial, Ed, I'm very sure, very, very confident talaga kami bilang counsel ng mga biktima that President Duterte will be the first Asian to be convicted in the ICC.
Sir, are families of the victims going to be brought to the ICC and to present their case? Kasi, for example, si Matabato and Las Cañas are, I understand, already in Europe to give their side of the story and their own inside track of the story. What about the families of the victims? Are they also going there?
Well, ang problema naman namin, Ed, mahirap naman yung biktima. Wala nga pamasahe sa korte yan dito eh. Buti nga si President Duterte nadalaw siya ng pamilya na may pamasahe yung pamilya na ng birthday niya. So we'll try to, of course, the first step is hingiin sa prosecutor at sa ICC to allow the victims to also participate in the proceedings. So, nakalagay naman yan sa Article 59 at sa iba pang mga rules ng ICC. Pag pumayag sila, ano ba ang pwedeng, kasi sa fund ng ICC, may tulong ba kayo? Pero otherwise, talagang mag-try kaming maghanap ng paraan, kahit isa man lang na biktima, ang magkaroon ng oportunidad doon sa ICC. Alam mo, Ed, they don't know if ma-acquit si President Duterte in the end or ma-guilty siya. Hindi nila alam yan. Pero ang gusto lang nila, merong isang forum na kung saan masabi nila ang kanilang ebidensya, masabi nila ang kanilang kwento kung paanong pinatay na parang hayop yung kaanak nila. So yun lang naman ang hinihingi nila at sana naman hindi maipagkait pa yun sa kanila dito sa trial. Ako, tingin ko may trial na talagang mangyayari dito against President Duterte.
Sir, kasi I understand yung defense or the accused, they have they can tap into some sort of a general fund for their expenses, for their defense expenses. And wala ko may ganun din for victims or families of the victims. Wala ho ba ganun sa ICC?
Yes, there is the general fund for the prosecutor, the defense, and the victims. So issue lang yan kung paano mayroon silang allocated naman na amounts for counsels, no? Of course, yung defense, libre naman dapat kay President Duterte kung gusto niya, but I doubt kukunin niya yan.
So there is something that you can tap
Kukunin
into.
niya yung mamahaling abogado niya. Diba? So, yes, there is. A question lang kung magkano at paano yan ihati-hatiin sa maraming biktima na nag-file doon sa ICC. Kasi
Sir,
hindi lang
last
naman
question.
kami ang nag-file. May mga iba din na hindi natin
Yes,
alam
sir.
publicly kung sino na nag-file din naman sa ICC.
Yes, sir. Sir, one last question, sir. Of course, I'm not a lawyer. Alam naman niyo yun. Pero I think part of the discussion has been kasi, yes, you did go through a timeline kanina kung kailan nag-withdraw, for example, nag-take effect ang withdrawal ng Philippines.
Yes.
What might be instrumental is if the proceedings started before the withdrawal was filed and took effect. So it might end up being a question of how one defines when the ICC proceedings began. Was it the filing of the complaint, or was it the time that the pretrial chamber took over or accepted the petition of
Yes.
the investigator?
Yes, well, para sa amin, bilang counsel ng victims, we assert na kasi any issue under consideration, so it does, kasama na kami dyan when we filed, of course, the complaint. At second, Ed, nag-issue ng preliminary examination ang prosecutor noong 2018 bago pa man nag-effective yung withdrawal. So para sa amin, yung preliminary examination na kung saan binanggit ng prosecutor, si General Bato de la Rosa, General Albayalde, at sinabi niya lahat ng head ng regional, provincial, district at city police units ay kasama ng investigasyon. Ito Ed, is already the proceeding mentioned in Article 127, 2. So, sa amin, it started long before. In any case, Ed, magdebate man ang prosecution at defense on that issue para sa aming mga biktima. Nag-commit ka ng heinous crimes. Hindi ka naman pwedeng iligtas lang on the issue of technicality. Kasi, at sabi nga kanina kahit na-commit mo yung isang krimen during the time na state party kayo, pero for a long time hindi ka nakasuhan, ngayon ka lang nakakasuhan, pwede ka pa rin kasuhan sa ICC because the international community doesn't want violators, perpetrators of the most heinous crimes to get away with it. So yung issue ng withdrawal, they can debate about it. Pero para sa amin, 127, Article 127 says that walang prejudice ang withdrawal sa any matter under consideration. And for us, the matter has already been under consideration by the ICC long before the withdrawal. In fact, nag-issue na ng preliminary examination ang prosecutor as early as February of 2018. So, I don't see any reason bakit hayaan ng ICC na ma-dismiss ang kaso on the ground of jurisdiction. Parang ang mensahe dyan ay ganito. Mga presidente, mga prime ministers, pwede kayong gumawa ng krimen, ng heinous crimes. Pag nakasuhan kayo sa amin, i-withdraw
Unahan
nyo
nyo
lang
lang.
ang bansa nyo. Okay na tayo. Wala nang hustisya para sa lahat ng biktima nyo. And I don't think the ICC would make that message kasi otherwise walang ngipin ng ICC if the ICC will abide by this technical ground ng Duterte na we withdrew, so tapos na ang kaso as far as we're concerned.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how the ICC will decide on this, but I'm pretty sure they will decide on the side of the victims of EJK sa Pilipinas.
Okay, maraming salamat for joining us this morning, human rights lawyer and from the NUPL, Attorney Nery Colmenares. Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat din po.
Don't go away. More matters to discuss after the break. Keep it here in One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters. Vice President Sara Duterte claims that the Marcos administration is behind the assault complaint against Congressman Pulong Duterte. This comes after a certain Cristone John Patria filed a complaint for an incident that happened in Davao City in February this year. In a video making rounds on social media, a man said to be Pulong or Congressman Duterte can be seen trying to strike another man with an object held in his right hand. Without providing any proof, Sara said the Marcos administration has done nothing but play politics and smear their political opponents. And that's today's episode of Morning Matters. I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.